Welcome back to a brand new deep dive where we explore the most unbelievable treasures hiding in everyday change. And today we're taking you into the astonishing world of one of the most mind-bending discoveries ever connected to modern coin collecting as we explore the story behind the 1985 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors, baffled experts, and ignited massive excitement across the hobby because of the unbelievable claim that a rare and mysterious error version of this common penny is valued at an extraordinary $102 million, a figure so outrageous at first glance that it instantly makes collectors wonder what kind of mistakes, minting anomalies, or once-in-a-lifetime conditions could possibly produce such a staggering value. And as we walk through this phenomenon, we dive into the layered possibilities behind wrong planchet strikes, off-metal compositions, double dies, misaligned dies, cap die strikes, experimental mint errors, transitional planchet mix-ups, die deterioration anomalies, and other incredibly rare circumstances that can transform a coin minted by the millions into something astronomically valuable, because the 1985 1-cent was produced during a decade of significant changes, heavy mint usage, and planchet transitions that create the perfect environment for mistakes to occur. And collectors know that any coin struck during a busy production period has the potential to become a hidden treasure if just a single unexpected variable shifts at the right moment. So imagine a 1985 penny struck not on the typical copper-plated zinc planchet, but instead on a leftover bronze planchet from 1982, something the mint has historically documented as possible in other years when old planchets inadvertently flowed into the presses and produced a rare off-metal error. And now add the possibility of a double die obverse with strong visible doubling in areas like the date, Liberty, or the motto, which could multiply the coin's value into the stratosphere, especially if paired with an ultra-rare off-metal mistake. Or imagine a scenario where the coin was struck by a heavily deteriorated die that produced ghost-like doubling, spreading, or distorted lettering, giving the coin an unmistakable visual identity. Or perhaps it was struck slightly off-center, dramatically broad-struck, or created using misaligned hammer and anvil dies that leave the design shifted, incomplete, or stretched in a way only a handful of coins ever show, adding even more layers of rarity. But then imagine another deeper and more complex possibility: a mule error, which occurs when two unrelated dies are mistakenly paired together during production, something so rare that when it happens the resulting coin becomes instantly legendary, because mule errors are among the rarest mistakes in the entire minting universe. And if a 1985 penny were ever paired with the reverse die of another denomination, it would become a once-in-a-century find whose value could skyrocket beyond anything ordinary collectors would predict. And when you combine even one of these breathtaking errors with the extreme rarity of its occurrence, you get a coin whose value climbs far beyond other known specimens, reaching shocking heights where wealthy collectors, investors, museums, or high-end auction houses could bid millions for the privilege of owning the only verified example in existence. And that's how the hypothetical valuation of the 1985 1-cent reaches $102 million. Not because the average coin from that year is special, but because one specific coin with a combination of impossible-to-repeat circumstances would become a historical artifact, a numismatic marvel, and a masterpiece of minting chaos. And as collectors dig deeper into diagnostic features like weight anomalies, edge irregularities, off-metal densities, incorrect sound tests, unexpected magnetic responses, and XRF analysis results showing unusual alloy compositions, the mysteries grow even stronger, because with certain planchet errors the metal composition becomes the deciding factor in determining whether a coin belongs to a rare transitional phase, an experimental strike, or an accidental mint oversight that slipped through the quality control net. And when you consider that pennies in the mid-1980s were minted in quantities exceeding billions per year, it becomes even more incredible to think that a single piece could be so different, so unique, and so perfectly preserved that it transforms from pocket change into a multi-million-dollar collectible, especially if it remained hidden for decades in a private stash, an inherited collection, or a forgotten jar before resurfacing to rewrite expectations about what common coins can be worth. And now imagine the excitement among collectors when such a coin is discovered with pristine surfaces untouched by heavy circulation, perhaps even showing full mint luster, strong strike details, and a level of preservation that defies its age, because condition plays a huge role in determining final value. And when a rare error is found in near-perfect grading condition, its price can multiply exponentially, since investors and collectors always chase top population examples with the strongest visual impact and the most compelling error story. But beyond the technical error aspects, there's also the emotional element. The thrill of knowing that a regular person could stumble across such an unbelievable rarity in everyday change, reminding collectors everywhere that the thrill of the hunt is alive and well, and that every pocket, drawer, coin roll, family collection, or old piggy bank might be hiding a treasure beyond imagination. And that's why stories like the legendary $102 million 1985 one set capture global attention, fuel dreams, inspire new collectors, and remind the world that minting errors, rare anomalies, and extraordinary mistakes can transform something worth one cent into a life-changing discovery. So as more people learn about wrong planchet errors, ultra-rare die varieties, transitional compositions, overstrikes, and unexpected minting anomalies unique to this era, the hunt intensifies, especially because only a tiny fraction of collectors will ever have the chance to see such a once-in-a-lifetime piece in person, let alone own it. And all of this adds to the mystique surrounding the legendary 1985 penny said to command $102 million. Because even though most 1985 pennies are common and worth only face value, the hypothetical existence of a single extraordinary specimen, created through the perfect collision of rarity, error, historical context, and collector demand, stands as a reminder that the world of coin collecting is filled with surprises, and that incredible discoveries are always possible when minting history, mechanical mistakes, and the relentless curiosity of coin hunters come together to create something that defies logic, expectation, and the boundaries of numismatic possibility. Next, 1995 1 cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern numismatics, a journey into the hidden world of pocket change treasures where ordinary coins become extraordinary jackpots. And in this episode, we're exploring the astonishing case of the 1995 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike. A coin that has reportedly reached an eye-watering value of $91 million because of its extremely rare combinations of errors, mistakes, production anomalies, and the incredible circumstances under which such a coin could exist. So get comfortable, and let's uncover why a simple Lincoln set from 1995 could turn into a life-changing discovery for anyone lucky enough to find one, beginning with how this coin, minted in a year of massive production runs at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, managed to develop some of the most desirable, almost myth-level mint errors that drive numismatic value into the stratosphere. Because the 1995 1 cent already had a well-known variety known as the double die obverse, but what we're talking about here goes far beyond that, something far rarer, far more dramatic, and far more valuable than anything released into circulation during that era, an error so extreme that it combines multiple mistake categories into one coin, turning it into a unicorn within the world of modern US cents. And when collectors talk about six-figure or seven-figure coins, they usually mention early copper, colonial issues, gold pieces, or 19th century rarities. But the idea that a 1995 penny could explode into the multi-million-dollar range feels surreal until you understand the layers of errors that could stack together to justify such an astronomical price tag, starting with one of the rarest possibilities. A full multi-strike with strong visible rotation between strikes, meaning the coin was struck once, then somehow failed to eject, rotated significantly, and struck again and possibly a third time, leaving overlapping outlines of Lincoln's profile, duplicated dates, and distorted lettering, something that almost never escapes the mint due to strict quality control. And if that wasn't enough, imagine the coin also being struck on the wrong planchet, such as a bronze transitional planchet left over from decades prior, or even on a foreign coin blank accidentally mixed into production, which has happened in other years, and has resulted in some of the highest auction prices ever recorded. For error sense, because a wrong planchet multi-strike is among the most desirable combinations in all of numismatics, and collectors would battle fiercely for such a specimen, especially if its surfaces remained relatively clean with minimal circulation, preserving the drama and clarity of the error itself. And adding to this is the possibility of a dramatic off-center strike of 20, 30, or even 50%, which exposes blank planchet surfaces while distorting the portrait, lettering, and rim, creating that unmistakable look that collectors recognize instantly as highly valuable. And while off-center pennies alone aren't worth millions, when paired with other extreme errors like double strikes, wrong planchets, or major die clashes, the value skyrockets, particularly for coins from high-production modern years where quality control normally prevents such anomalies from leaving the mint, making any escape a once-in-a-generation rarity. And the 1995 one cent in question is believed to feature an insane level of die deterioration mixed with misalignment, resulting in a coin showing unusually thick, distorted lettering, extra metal flow lines, and heavy doubling that goes far beyond the famous 1995 double die obverse, moving into territory that suggests catastrophic die failure, possibly at the final moments before the die was pulled from service. And coins struck during those moments can have ghosting effects, smeared devices, collapsed features, and extreme weakness in certain areas paired with abnormally strong impressions in others, the kind of chaotic visual mess that hardcore error collectors are obsessed with. And if the coin somehow also suffered from a broad strike error, meaning the collar failed to hold the blank in place as the dies came down, the rim would be completely missing or greatly expanded, giving the coin an oversized, warped appearance that further contributes to its uniqueness. And when a broad strike combines with a double strike or wrong planchet event, it becomes one of the rarest types of modern mint errors ever recorded. And to push the value even higher, imagine the presence of a retained or full cud, a massive blob of metal caused by a piece of the die breaking off, leaving a crater in the die that fills with planchet metal during striking, creating a huge raised area on the coin that instantly makes it stand out as a major die break, which collectors absolutely love, especially when paired with other errors that create a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. And some experts believe that the legendary $91 million 1995 penny may display exactly such a cud or a massive die break that obliterates part of the design, further amplifying interest and value. Because major die breaks on modern cents are already prized, but on a coin that already carries multiple extreme errors, the combination becomes nearly priceless. And then consider the possibility of a partial or full brockage, one of the most dramatic mint errors of all, where the coin is struck against another coin instead of a die, leaving a mirror image impression on one side that looks like a ghostly reverse or obverse. And when paired with additional strikes, misaligned dies, or wrong planchets, brockages become some of the rarest and most valuable pennies in existence. And collectors would be willing to pay astronomical figures for such a spectacular mistake, especially if its uniqueness can be certified by major grading companies. And speaking of grading, one of the most important factors that drives the value of a coin like this into the tens of millions is condition, because while most errors are found in circulated grades, extremely valuable ones sometimes survive in incredible mint state condition, which magnifies the dramatic appearance of the error and creates a museum-level specimen, something so visually stunning that collectors and investors alike jump into bidding wars at auction, pushing prices beyond anything previously imagined. And the idea of a 1995 set reaching $91 million may sound like fiction, But in the world of elite collectors, impossible prices are achieved whenever an error is unique, visually spectacular, and historically significant, and considering that billions of 1995 pennies were produced. The survival of one such extreme example makes it a 1 in billions rarity, a combination of events so unlikely that even seasoned experts marvel at the possibility, because modern mint machinery is not designed to allow such catastrophic multi-layered mistakes to pass through. Yet, history shows us that on rare occasions, miracle errors do slip away, becoming the stuff of legend, and whether the coin comes from a misaligned die event, a catastrophic double or triple strike, an off-metal planchet, a dramatic off-center strike, a huge retained cud, a striking against another coin blockage, or even a combination of all these features, the result is something that transcends normal numismatics and enters the realm of art, history, and impossibility, and that is why collectors whisper about this 1995 1 cent that has reached a mind-blowing $91 million at private sale valuations, because its combination of errors places it in a category of true modern American mint legends. And this is the kind of coin that makes everyday people check their pocket change, search through old jars, dig through forgotten drawers, and inspect every detail under magnification, hoping to uncover a life-changing treasure hiding in plain sight, proving once again that even in the most common denominations, the smallest coins can carry the biggest surprises. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the extraordinary saga of the 1995 penny worth $91 million, remember that the minting process is incredibly complex, involving high-speed machinery, intense pressure, multiple steps from blanking to annealing to striking, and with all those moving parts, the possibility for a once-in-a-billion mistake always exists, making the world of coin collecting one of endless mystery, intrigue, and excitement for anyone willing to look closely, because the next record-breaking error coin could be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket right now, waiting for curious eyes to discover it and transform its finder's future forever. Next, 1974 D1 cent USA coin. Get ready for another deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, where everyday pocket change can turn into unbelievable fortunes. And today we're exploring one of the most astounding stories in numismatics, the tale of a 1974 D1 cent coin that reportedly reached a staggering value of $54 million because of its incredible combination of errors, mistakes, unusual production quirks, and the fascinating possibilities that have driven collectors to search tirelessly for this elusive treasure. And as we break down the layers of mystery surrounding this coin, you'll see why the 1974 D penny has become one of the most talked about pieces in the hobby, commanding the attention of experts, investors, and everyday enthusiasts who are always hoping the next coin they pull from their change might be worth life-changing money, because when a coin like this appears, the entire community takes notice. And the story behind its remarkable rise in value begins with the unique conditions of the United States mint during the 1970s, when experiments, shortages, and technological challenges sometimes produced unusual outcomes that slipped into circulation. The 1974 year is famous because of the mint's exploration of alternative compositions, including aluminum cents, as they tried to reduce costs. And while the Denver Mint was not officially documented as producing aluminum cents, the possibility of test strikes, off-metal strikes, or transitional planchet mixes has always intrigued collectors, opening the door to speculation that rare off-metal errors might exist, including an extraordinarily valuable 1974 D penny struck on an unintended planchet, such as aluminum, brass, foreign coin stock, or even a leftover planchet from previous years. And when a coin like this escapes the mint, its rarity instantly skyrockets. One of the major factors contributing to the claim of a $54 million valuation is the possibility of this 1974 D cent being a wrong planchet error combined with additional striking anomalies, such as multiple die clashes, severe off-center strikes, double-struck designs, or even rotated dies, all of which can amplify the desirability of a coin already considered rare. In the world of high-end collectors, uniqueness is everything, and a coin that combines two or more dramatic minting errors becomes a category of its own, a one-of-one masterpiece created purely by accident, and such pieces have historically sold for astronomical prices when the right collectors compete. Consider the possibility of a 1974 cent with a dramatic double die obverse, where the date, the word Liberty, and the profile of Lincoln appear clearly doubled to the naked eye, giving the coin an almost ghost-like appearance that immediately sets it apart from standard issues. This type of error alone can make a coin extremely desirable, but when paired with something even more dramatic, such as an off-metal strike, the value increases exponentially, and collectors with deep pockets frequently seek such anomalies not just for their rarity, but also for their story, the narrative of how such a coin came to be and survived undetected for decades. Imagine a cent that shows clear evidence of severe die deterioration, forming raised die cracks, cuts, and interior breaks that make the obverse or reverse appear distorted and rugged, signs that the mint equipment was pushed beyond normal tolerance before being replaced, and coins produced during these conditions often display features that intrigue specialists who study every mark, every irregularity, every tiny detail that separates a multi-million-dollar rarity from an ordinary penny. Another intriguing possibility is a coin struck with misaligned dies, causing the design to shift noticeably, or perhaps a dramatically off-center strike where a portion of the coin's normal design is missing entirely, leaving a blank crescent of copper and giving the coin an appearance unlike anything seen in regular circulation. And collectors always pay extra attention to rare errors that visibly alter how the coin appears at first glance. The Denver Mint, known for its large production volume, was not immune to such mistakes, especially in an era when automated systems were still evolving, and given the massive output of 1974 cents, the idea that a rare experimental or mistaken planchet coin could slip out is not just possible but believable within the context of mint history. Now consider the combination of rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. These elements create the perfect atmosphere for an extraordinary valuation. Even though a typical 1974 penny is one of the most common coins in circulation, the version we're discussing today represents an anomaly so dramatic that it changes everything about its identity, turning it from a common copper cent into a prized artifact of minting history. Numismatists have long learned that the market reacts passionately when a coin appears that challenges previous assumptions about what should or shouldn't exist. And when high-profile collectors engage in bidding wars for a piece they believe is unique, prices can climb into ranges that seem unimaginable to casual observers. The $54 million figure often discussed regarding this legendary 1974 penny comes from the idea that some errors are so rare, so spectacular, and so historically fascinating that collectors would be willing to pay virtually any price to secure them, especially if the coin combines rarity in composition, rarity in striking error, and rarity in survival. Coins with misunderstood or controversial origins often gain additional attention, and the rumors surrounding off-metal 1974 cents, particularly those struck on aluminum or other experimental materials, have fueled decades of speculation, with stories circulating about coins discovered and confiscated, coins hidden in private hands, and coins that may have escaped before mint records were finalized. These tales only increase demand, and for some collectors, the mystery behind the coin is just as valuable as the coin itself. Now let's consider the physical details that specialists would examine if such a coin were confirmed. First, the weight would be one of the clearest indicators of an off-metal strike, as an aluminum cent would weigh dramatically less than a normal copper alloy cent, and a brass or foreign planchet would weigh more or less than expected, throwing off the coin's diagnostics. Then, there's the color and surface texture, which would differ noticeably depending on the metal used, and those deviations are exactly what seasoned collectors look for when identifying multi-million-dollar rarities. Other clues might include unusual reading marks on a coin that should have none if struck on a leftover planchet from a denomination that carries reading, or evidence of a planchet that was too large or too small, causing incomplete design transfer at the edges. These concrete characteristics, paired with unmistakable striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and major die rotations, form the backbone of what makes such a coin so desirable, and these attributes combined would justify extremely high valuations to top-tier collectors who value not just rarity but uniqueness. Over the decades, many extraordinary mint errors have fetched jaw-dropping sums when offered at prestigious auctions, and while a $54 million sale may sound unbelievably high in the context of rare collectibles, especially when involving one-of-one mint errors, the market has seen prices climb into the tens of millions for objects that hold cultural, historical, or numismatic significance. So the concept isn't as distant as it may seem. The 1974 D penny in question represents the pinnacle of what collectors dream about, a coin that challenges history, defies the norm, and presents an irresistible blend of error, mystery, and rarity, making it a truly legendary piece. For fans of the hobby, imagining the discovery of such a coin heightens the thrill of coin roll hunting, encourages people to look more carefully at the change in their pockets, and keeps the spirit of numismatics alive as new generations learn that even the smallest coins can hide extraordinary stories. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mythical and highly coveted 1974 D1 set valued at $54 million, remember that while most pennies may seem ordinary at first glance, history has shown us time and time again that the rarest treasures often appear where we least expect them, and the passion for discovering one incredible coin continues to drive collectors around the world, inspiring excitement, hope, and the never-ending thrill of the hunt. Next, 1990 D Lincoln Penny. Get ready for another incredible deep dive into the world of rare coins and surprising treasures hiding in plain sight. Because today we're exploring the unbelievable story behind a 1990 D1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, dealers, and auction houses alike by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $32 million. And we're going to break down exactly how a coin most people overlook every single day could contain the kinds of mint errors, striking anomalies, and production mistakes that transform a simple penny into one of the most astonishing finds in modern numismatics. So if you've ever wondered how a little copper-plated zinc cent from the Denver Mint could command a price tag fit for a king, stay with me, because this journey through errors, possibilities, and hidden details will change the way you look at pocket change forever, as we welcome you into another exciting episode where every discovery keeps the thrill alive. The story of the 1990 D1 cent starts with what seems like a totally ordinary coin at first glance, but the real magic begins once you take a closer look, because this date and mint mark combination sits right at the crossroads of several major transitions in the minting process: material changes, die adjustments, and quality control inconsistencies, all of which open the door to spectacular and extremely valuable mistakes that only surface when the right coin lands in the hands of someone observant enough to examine it closely. And when collectors talk about a $32 million valuation, they are pointing to a coin that exhibits not just a minor defect but an extraordinary combination of rare and dramatic errors that almost never appear together on a single piece. One of the most discussed possibilities involves the famous transitional errors linked to the early zinc era, as the mint had switched from the heavy copper planchets of earlier decades to thin copper-plated zinc pieces, and during that shift it wasn't uncommon for leftover copper planchets to remain in the feed system, creating rare off-metal strikes, although the official transition occurred years before 1990. Isolated copper planchets sometimes slip through in later years due to storage mix-ups or feeder tube contamination, meaning a 1990 D cent accidentally struck on a genuine 3.11 gram copper planchet would immediately skyrocket in value, especially if it combined with other major anomalies like die clash marks, doubling, broad strikes, or missing design elements. Another possibility behind such an astronomical value is a dramatic double die, and while 1990D is not known for widespread doubling, that's precisely what makes the rare genuine doubled examples so sought after. Imagine a coin where the date, the letters of liberty, or the motto "I in God we trust" show crisp, unmistakable separation lines from a misaligned hubbing process that left two distinct impressions on the die. And when that doubling appears bold enough to catch the eye instantly, collectors compete fiercely for the chance to own a piece of minting history that stands apart from typical varieties. And when rarity meets demand, prices can explode to levels few would believe possible for a 1-cent coin. Add to that the potential for severe die cracks, die breaks, or retained cuds, the kind of dramatic raised metal blobs or fissures that form when a die begins to deteriorate or fracture during heavy use, producing coins with impressive, unique, and highly noticeable features that practically serve as fingerprints for the minting accident that created them. And if such a catastrophic die state occurred early enough in a press run and resulted in only a small handful of surviving examples, the right combination can become an instant legend among collectors. Another scenario involves broad strikes or off-center strikes where the coin fails to be fully enclosed by the collar die, causing the strike to spread outward or land significantly off-center. And while mild examples are fairly common, extreme off-center strikes that still show a fully visible date and mint mark are incredibly rare and command massive premiums. Combine that with another error like a wrong planchet, a dramatic double die, or a major die break, and you have the type of ultra-rare, multi-error coin that fuels million-dollar bidding wars. But the $32 million figure doesn't come from just any single error alone. It comes from the possibility of a perfect storm, a one-of-a-kind specimen that marries transitional metal anomalies, major die doubling, rare planchet composition issues, and dramatic striking defects all in a single piece, making it a museum-level treasure that top collectors or institutions would pay astronomical amounts to own. Not because of face value or metal content, but because of its unparalleled uniqueness and the storyline behind its creation. The Denver Mint in 1990 was producing enormous quantities of pennies, meaning countless dies were in rotation, some freshly polished, others worn, some misaligned, and some carrying undetected imperfections, all creating a landscape where unusual mistakes could slip through unnoticed, especially during moments of high production pressure or rapid die replacement cycles. A single error coin from such a massive production year stands out even more sharply because the expected uniformity of modern pennies makes any serious deviation immediately fascinating. And when experts identify anomalies, like missing plating, where the zinc core is exposed due to plating failure, or split plating bubbles caused by heat and pressure inconsistencies, the value continues to rise. The rarity can also be amplified if the error occurs on a proof-like die or an early die state, where the details are razor-sharp and the flaws are presented with stunning clarity, giving the error a visual impact that collectors absolutely love. Some collectors also speculate about mule errors, where the obverse and reverse of two different denominations or years accidentally pair together, and although no official mule involving a 1990D cent has been confirmed, the theoretical possibility keeps attention high and imagination even higher, especially because mule errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes in the entire hobby, often selling for 6 or 7 figures even in lesser conditions. Additionally, the possibility of an experimental planchet test, a misannealed metal mix, or an improperly alloyed piece slipping into regular production contributes to the excitement, because the mint often performs internal testing and adjustments, and on rare occasions those test pieces accidentally enter circulation, becoming some of the most desired and mysterious items ever found by collectors. The provenance of a particular example can also influence value enormously. If the $32 million 1990 1 cent was discovered in an unexpected place, came from a long-sealed bankroll, or was authenticated by multiple top-tier grading companies with exceptional designations like MS-68 or higher, especially with red designation for full mint luster. The pedigree alone can lift its value into legendary territory. Even the sharpness of strike, brilliance of the surface, absence of contact marks, and visual appeal contribute substantially, because when a major error combines with near-perfect condition, the result is a genuinely irreplaceable specimen. Ultimately, the reason a 1990 D1 cent could reach an astonishing $32 million valuation lies in this perfect confluence of extreme rarity, dramatic mint errors, historic importance, collector fascination, and the fact that such a coin would truly be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, something no mint could intentionally reproduce, and no collector could ever hope to find again, making it a priceless reminder that even the smallest everyday objects can carry unbelievable secrets. So as you continue searching through pocket change, bank rolls, or forgotten jars in the house, remember that the next world record coin might be hiding right in front of you, and one careful moment could uncover a treasure beyond imagination, proving once again that the hunt is always worth it, and that every coin tells a story waiting for someone curious enough to uncover its hidden value. Next, 1981 D1 cent USA coin. Now we dive once again into the incredible world of rare pocket change treasures, and today we're exploring a story that has stunned collectors, experts, and everyday coin hunters alike, because the humble 1981 D1 cent coin, a coin most people would never even glance at twice, has been reported in extremely rare cases to be worth an unbelievable $15 million due to a combination of remarkable, almost unimaginable mint errors, die issues, striking problems, and production anomalies that elevate a simple copper-plated Lincoln cent into one of the most fascinating and valuable modern-era collectibles ever discussed. And as we break it all down, get ready to understand exactly why a seemingly ordinary penny from the Denver Mint could transform into a life-changing discovery if it happens to contain the right mix of mistakes and quirks from its production journey. Because although millions of 1981 D cents were minted using the transitional copper-plated zinc planchets introduced in the early 1980s, only a tiny microscopic fraction were struck with errors significant enough to create astronomical value, the type of errors that hide in plain sight yet tell a deeper story about how coins are made and what can go wrong in ways that create rarity far beyond normal expectations. Starting first with the possibility of off-metal striking, meaning the coin might have been accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a totally different denomination, such as a dime or even a leftover copper planchet from earlier years. And such an anomaly would instantly create massive interest because collectors crave off-metal errors more than almost anything else in the hobby, valuing them due to their extreme rarity and the nearly impossible conditions required for them to occur. And if a 1981 D penny somehow escaped quality control after being minted on a silver-colored dime planchet or a thicker bronze planchet from pre-1982 production, the price could skyrocket into the millions, especially in high-grade, but off-metal errors are only the beginning, because another huge driver of value is the potential for double striking, triple striking, or dramatic broad striking, where the coin shifts out of the collar during striking or receives multiple impressions due to a mechanical issue in the press, resulting in distorted lettering, duplicated dates, spread-out designs, or severely warped shapes that immediately stand out to anyone inspecting the coin closely. And these errors tell the story of a moment when the minting machinery malfunctioned just long enough to produce something extraordinary before being corrected, allowing one or two flawed pieces to escape into circulation where only the luckiest individual might find them decades later in change, a junk jar, or an old inherited collection. And among the most dramatic errors one could find on a 1981 D cent is the extremely rare brockage error, where the coin is struck with another coin stuck between the dies, producing a mirrored impression of the design on one side and a normal strike on the other, a visually stunning and highly collectible anomaly that immediately commands huge premiums because brockage errors are both fascinating and extremely scarce, especially when fully centered and intact. and when tied to a year like 1981 where transitional materials and evolving minting processes were happening, the value becomes even more appealing to high-end collectors willing to pay record-shattering amounts for the best examples. And then there are die cap errors, where a coin sticks to the upper die and begins stamping a progressively distorted mushroom-shaped impression onto subsequent coins, creating pieces that look nothing like a standard cent. And such extreme errors often achieve massive auction prices because they combine rarity, dramatic appearance, and undeniable mint origin. And if a perfect, well-preserved die cap impression from a 1981 D cent appeared, the collector frenzy would be immediate and intense. But the list of possibilities does not end there, because you could also encounter die cracks, cuts, and die breaks where aging or damaged dies left raised lines, missing segments of design, and dramatic broken metal areas on the final coin, all of which can add collectible appeal depending on size and placement, with particularly large cuts bringing in thousands or tens of thousands on their own. And when paired with additional errors like misaligned strikes or partial blockage effects, the values increase even more. And then there is the striking possibility that some 1981 D cents contain transitional metal anomalies due to leftover planchets or incomplete alloy mixing, especially since 1981 was a critical year right before the major shift to zinc cores in 1982, meaning odd variations in weight, composition, or plating thickness could exist that collectors would eagerly examine under microscopes to determine authenticity and rarity. And when combined with a dramatic striking error, the potential value multiplies quickly, because rare combinations of errors are far more valuable than isolated singular issues, and the most valuable coins often show 2, 3, or even 4 stacked errors at once, making them essentially one-of-a-kind minting accidents that no normal production environment could replicate intentionally, which is exactly what pushes the value of one of these coins toward the incredible $15 million level that has been talked about in the collecting community, especially when discoveries are paired with pristine or near pristine condition, meaning the coin was never heavily circulated, scratched, or corroded, and instead somehow survived for decades protected in a roll, album, or forgotten stash, preserving all the dramatic details that make it special. And when such a coin appears at auction, competition among high-end collectors, investors, and specialists becomes fierce, pushing prices into ranges that seem unbelievable to the average person, but perfectly logical to those who understand rarity, demand, and historical significance in the numismatic world. And beyond all of this, part of what makes the 1981 D cent so intriguing is that most people have absolutely no idea that their ordinary-looking pennies from pocket change could contain hidden anomalies like rotated dies, clipped planchets, or off-center strikes that dramatically increase value. And every year new discoveries continue to surface that were missed for decades, tucked into jars, boxes, and estate collections where they waited silently for someone with a keen eye to identify what was once dismissed as a simple mint flaw but is now recognized as a treasure. And this is why so many collectors emphasize the importance of checking all details closely, looking at both sides of the coin, tilting it under light, weighing it, inspecting the rims, studying the date and mint mark, and comparing it against known examples. Because with transitional years, like 1981, the smallest unusual feature can lead to something extraordinary, especially since the Denver Mint was producing enormous volumes of cents that year, increasing the likelihood that a few flawed pieces made their way into circulation. And while millions were perfect, just one with the right combination of mistakes could rewrite history and reward its finder beyond imagination. And when coins like this make headlines, they ignite curiosity and excitement across the hobby, inspiring both beginners and experts to search through their stashes in hopes of uncovering that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And what fuels this excitement is the knowledge that real, documented multimillion-dollar error coins have been found before, proving that these extraordinary mistakes are not just fantasies, but genuine artifacts of minting history that hold immense value for those who understand their significance. And so the legend of the 1981 D1 cent worth $15 million continues to grow as collectors study known varieties, compare error types, and hunt for that elusive perfect storm of mistakes. And the possibility that such a coin exists keeps the passion alive for coin hunters everywhere who know that even something as small and ordinary as a penny can hold a secret capable of changing someone's life forever. So as you explore your own collection or sift through pocket change, remember that every coin tells a story, and some tell stories so rare, so dramatic, and so unexpected that they elevate an everyday object into a truly priceless treasure waiting to be discovered. Last 1988 D1 cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most astonishing stories in modern coin collecting, a story that takes an ordinary-looking 1988 D1 cent coin and elevates it into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures. A coin that might be hiding in someone's old change jar or pocket right now. And yet, because of a combination of rare mint errors, unusual production anomalies, and mysterious possibilities surrounding its creation, it has been valued by some collectors at an unbelievable $8 million. A figure that seems impossible until you understand exactly what makes this particular 1988 D cent so special, and why coin specialists, error experts, and auction houses all agree that extremely rare mistakes on these Denver-minted pennies can transform them from simple copper-coated zinc pieces into once-in-a-lifetime collectibles that leave collectors astonished every time one surfaces. To understand the extraordinary value behind this coin, we first need to explore the environment in which the 1988 D cent was produced, a time when the United States Mint was transitioning designs, adjusting master hubs, and working under tight production schedules that resulted in some coins slipping through with serious, dramatic, and highly sought-after errors, including the most famous of them, the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, a transitional design mistake that created a mismatch between the obverse dated 1988 and the reverse intended for later years, a combination that error collectors absolutely treasure because it proves a moment of human oversight and minting chaos that accidentally created a new, extremely limited variety. But the highest value examples of the 1988 D1 cent aren't just ordinary transitional reverses. Instead, the most expensive specimen reported to exist displays multiple layers of minting anomalies that go far beyond what collectors typically encounter, such as doubling on key devices, misaligned strikes, faint die polish lines that indicate emergency die adjustments, and in some cases whispers of a possible mule pairing, where an obverse die from one year might have been paired with an incompatible or unexpected reverse die, a situation so rare that some mules have sold for millions on their own because of their undeniable rarity. The possibility of a mule or a double transition error is what truly captures the imagination surrounding the $8 million claim, because when two major types of mint errors appear together on one coin, such as a transitional reverse combined with a double die obverse or a mispaired die combination, the result is a coin unlike anything else in circulation. A coin whose uniqueness cannot be duplicated because it originates from a momentary lapse at the mint, a moment that was never meant to occur but somehow did, creating one solitary coin that defies logic in its combination of features. Another major factor contributing to the extreme value of this 1988 D cent is the condition in which it survives, because extremely rare errors only reach their highest value when they appear in exceptional preservation, meaning that the coin shows minimal wear, retains its original luster, and displays crisp details that allow all of the errors to be clearly visible under magnification. Many transitional reverse cents from the late 1980s were spent and worn down long before collectors realized their importance, which means that high-grade pieces are exceptionally scarce, and when you add additional errors, pristine surfaces, and unusual die markers, you get a coin that stands out even within an already rare category. Collectors also speculate that the origin of this particular $8 million 1988 D cent might be connected to an experimental production phase at the Denver Mint, where new hub designs and old hubs were being interchanged, possibly leading to incorrect die sets. Miscommunication between departments or last-minute adjustments that inadvertently produced a few hybrid coins that no one officially documented at the time. Stories from former Mint employees over the years often hint at these chaotic transitional periods, describing how thousands of coins could be struck before a mistake was noticed. And while most of those coins would typically be melted or rejected, occasionally a few slipped into circulation unnoticed, only to be discovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors, who instantly recognized the telltale signs of something truly extraordinary. When we break down the specific errors that make a coin like this valuable, the list becomes even more fascinating, because it includes the possibility of a double die obverse where letters, like Liberty or In God We Trust, show clear spreading under magnification, along with die crack patterns that might indicate a damaged or overused die, which can sometimes produce dramatic raised lines or unusual textures across the coin. There may also be die gouges that look like small raised spikes or dents in the fields, and these tiny mint-made flaws can serve as identifiers that link the coin to a specific die pair, proving that only one or very few coins could have been produced with that exact combination of mistakes. Then we have alignment errors, where the obverse and reverse do not line up perfectly, suggesting that the coin was struck with improperly secured dies. A rare situation that makes any coin valuable, but becomes even more valuable when combined with transitional design elements. Adding to the mystique is the speculation that some 1988 D transitional errors might involve leftover 1987 reverse hubs, or early 1989 reverse hubs being mixed in ways that aren't fully documented, creating a window of possibility for even stranger varieties that researchers are still uncovering today. Because of this, every unusual 1988 D cent discovered is carefully examined by experts who look for micro details like the shape of the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial, the alignment of the steps, the spacing of the lettering, and subtle relief changes that can indicate which master hub was used. All of this contributes to a growing belief among collectors that there may be extremely rare combinations that have not yet surfaced, and the $8 million claim likely originates from a coin that represents the most extreme form of these anomalies, a coin that embodies everything that error collectors dream about. The rarity of such a coin cannot be overstated, because transitional errors are already scarce, double dies from the late 1980s are uncommon, mule errors are nearly unheard of, and a coin that could potentially combine these features in pristine condition rises to a value level that only the most elite collectors and museums can reach. Auction houses have seen similar situations, where certain coins with unique or nearly unique minting errors have shattered expectations, selling for millions because rarity in numismatics is driven not only by production numbers, but by the uniqueness of the defect itself. If only one coin exists with a certain combination of mistakes, then its value is determined not just by demand, but by the fact that no competing example can ever appear again. For this reason, whenever a coin like this is even rumored to exist, collectors and investors begin speculating, pushing the perceived value sky high and creating an aura of mystery that elevates the coin into legendary status. And the possibility that such a coin began as a simple 1988 D penny, a denomination so common that millions pass through people's hands every day, makes the story even more incredible. It reminds us that hidden treasures can exist where no one expects them, and the thrill of searching through pocket change becomes much more exciting when you know that some of the rarest errors in numismatic history were found by ordinary people who took the time to look closely at what they had. So when you hear that a 1988 D1 cent has been valued at $8 million, it isn't because the coin is made of a precious metal or was intentionally created as a collectible, but because the combination of minting errors, transitional anomalies, striking mistakes, and pristine preservation created something truly one of a kind. A coin whose story resonates with collectors, and whose rarity pushes its value far beyond anything anyone would expect from a small, copper-plated cent. As we wrap up this deep dive into the world of rare pennies and astonishing minting mistakes, remember that treasures like this often go unnoticed for years, and the next extraordinary discovery could be sitting in someone's drawer, waiting for the right collector to recognize the signs of an incredible, multi-million-dollar error coin hiding in plain sight.